Hi, Grandma Honey here, and I have another story for you. This one's called Love Your Neighbor, and it's written by Melody Carlson. All right, let's get started. I live in a house on Daffodil Lane, where the kid next door is really a pain. Tim borrowed my bike and bent the front wheel, then said to me, "Hey, no big deal." As if that's not enough, he frightened my cat by swinging a big wooden baseball bat. Just by an inch he missed Tabby's head, but what scared me most was what Grandma said. I complained to my grandma about this weird kid. I told her in detail of all that he did. She listened and smiled and nodded her head, but I almost croaked when I heard what she said. She took down her Bible from up on her shelf and read, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." I said to my grandma, "You've never met Tim. I'd gladly love anyone, but I can't love him." I waved bye to Grandma and I went on my way, and I hoped to forget all she had to say. Loving your neighbor may sound sweet and good, but not if your neighbor's named Timothy Wood. I wish I could move to an igloo somewhere where my next door neighbor's a big polar bear. I'd gladly invite the fine fellow for tea. He could sit by my fire and watch my TV. We could play checkers and police and crooks. Why, I'd even loan him my favorite books. To be a good neighbor, I'd surely love him. But please don't tell me I gotta love Tim. Well, and what if I lived far away in the jungle? In loving my neighbor, I'd surely not bungle. Even if bunches of wild chimpanzees lived right next door, way up high in the trees, I'd let them go first when we swung on the vine. And if they ate my bananas, I'd say, "Hey, that's fine." For monkeys don't know what good manners are for. And they couldn't be worse than Tim Wood is next door. Or what if I lived on a boat with a sail, where my closest neighbor's a great big blue whale? I'd be just as good and as nice as can be. I'd surely love my neighbor, and I hope he loved me. And what if the place that I called my home was the very same place that the elephants roam? I'd cut lots of grass and invite them to lunch. And in the lake, I'd pour Kool-Aid to make purple punch. And if they forgot to say, "Thank you," or "Please," or didn't say, "Bless you," if somebody sneezed, well, I wouldn't worry. I'd say, "That's all right." We'd be friendly neighbors, and we'd never fight. Or what if I wandered up north on the loose, where my nearest neighbor's a long-legged moose? To be a good neighbor, I'd cook a fine meal of moose-friendly food. Not such a big deal. And even if 54 moose friends came too, I wouldn't be mad or make a to-do, because he's my neighbor. I'd be nice to him, and ever so grateful he's nothing like Tim. I sat on my front porch and dreamed what I'd do if I lived in a cave or a big city zoo. And all I imagined, no matter how grim, seemed pretty good compared to old Tim. And then I heard an odd noise, and I glanced at Tim's place. And there sat my neighbor with tears on his face. I watched in surprise, and then I felt bad. I wonder what made my neighbor so sad. I stood and I waved and I called out, "Hello?" And then I got off my porch and I walked over real slow. "What's up?" I asked. "Is the world gonna end?" He frowned, then replied, "I don't have one friend." Oh, I swallowed real hard and I looked down at my shoes and I pondered, then wondered what I had to lose. I mean, he wasn't an elephant, moose, or a whale. He couldn't leap trees or swing by the tail. But then all of a sudden, I wanted to see if I could love Tim the same way I love me. I wasn't real sure about what he would think. I mean, he might laugh out loud or make a big stink. "Well, Tim," I began, "I'd like to be friends and get along better and make some amends." His eyes lit up and he said, "Hey, that's cool." And that's when I learned the golden rule. Now, most of the time, Tim and I have a blast, and I think that our friendship is one that will last. But sometimes we battle and both get defeated, and that's when I remember how I'd like to be treated. And even on days when we just can't agree, I try to love Tim the same way I love me. And I keep these words in my heart and in my head. Love your neighbor as yourself, just like Jesus said. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:39. The end. And that's our story for today. Love your neighbor. Bye-bye for now. Be blessed.